Hello and welcome to our November Pulse update, where we're going to share some of our recent and upcoming advocacy activities relating to procurement. This update, we're joined by our guest, Christy and my boss, Nicola Grayson, who most of you will know as the CEO of Consult Australia. So Nicola, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We'll start with you to share some of your recent engagements with the Commonwealth Finance Department.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, James. It's lovely to be here to both. So I'm here to talk about the Procurement Consultative Roundtable first up. So that is a roundtable that is chaired by the Secretary of the Department of Finance for Commonwealth, but it includes all of the secretaries across the Commonwealth. So it's a very important group for us. Also on there are the other peak business bodies, so the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Australian Industry Group, and the Business Council of Australia. And then there's two other groups representing specific industries. One of them is ICT industry and the other is Consult Australia. So we're incredibly fortuitous to be on that group, and it's a really important forum for us to raise our issues on behalf of our members regarding procurement. It does cover all of Commonwealth spending, so it's not just, the discussion isn't just around construction, but we do have a significant voice at the table, which is fantastic. And at this meeting, it was really interesting. We had an update around COVID-19 and implications for procurement. We had the Secretary of the Department for Infrastructure talk about the Accelerated Infrastructure Program. And we had quite a discussion which was involved the Small Business Ombudsman. They're also represented around the table, looking specifically at the issues that are impacting SMEs at the moment in terms of procurement. And some of those things are access to panel arrangements, being paid on time, of course, which is a big one, insurance requirements, and really just the whole contract term basis. And is that contract term, other contract terms used with SMEs fair in and of themselves? So it really gave us a great opportunity to talk from our members' perspective, both small, medium and large, about the issues we're seeing across not just Commonwealth procurement, but everywhere, particularly the impacts on professional indemnity insurance and the market conditions at the moment. So I was able to share case studies on behalf of our members. So thank you to all of you who've shared those case studies with us. I was able to use those to demonstrate that we really are heading into quite a crisis with the insurance market at the moment. And the action arising from that is that we will take some of that feedback that's been shared in that group and look through the Centre for Procurement Excellence, which is another part of this group, which we are on the steering group for, and we're going to take that away and have a look at more detail and what we can do. So it's an incredibly interesting forum, and I'll keep you posted. So I want to talk also briefly about the fact that one of the things we do in procurement, we don't just want to talk about the things that are going wrong. We also want to showcase where we do it really, really well. And we've been working on a paper to look at productivity, increasing productivity from procurement reform. And I'm going to hand over to Christy now, who's been driving that work for us. Christy.
Thanks, Nicola. Yes, so the Uplifting Productivity paper actually draws on over 20 different projects across Australia that our members have nominated as demonstrating best procurement practice or contracting behaviours. It demonstrates that reform isn't an invention test. You don't need to boil and bubble to create it. It's just learning from past projects. We've identified that productivity uplift can be delivered at every stage of a project. That's from pre-tender through to contracting and post-completion. The common threads are, unsurprisingly, communication and collaboration. For example, we know many clients have pre-tender industry advisory sessions, but the most successful projects use those sessions to discuss how the project will be tendered and the contracting model. It's less about information giving from the client and more about collaboration between the client and industry participants. So the report highlights what we've said before. It's all about relationships and people. And that's why quite often when we talk about change to procurement, we talk about creating a mentally healthy industry. And this is where I'm going to throw to James to update us on our Christmas tender campaign.
Thanks, Christy. A very good link to this work. So during November for the past few years, we've been writing to clients in our industry highlighting our work promoting mentally healthy workplaces. and how procurement practices can have a significant impact on the work environment in our industry. So we encourage clients in these letters to consider the Christmas and New Year's period in any upcoming requests for tenders. This is a time of year when a lot of people in our industry spend time with families and refresh after a busy year. And I think this year is even more important considering COVID-19 and the impacts that we've all been through. So we ask clients to consider a tender blackout period or conservative extensions, factoring on what is a traditional shutdown for most in our industry. So last week we started sending out letters for this campaign. We're already seeing some really positive responses. So we've got some good support for the campaign from agencies in Melbourne and Tasmania, Sydney Metro, the Education Department in Tasmania, and some others. This is on top of some work that we did with the Queensland Department of Transport and Main Roads a couple of years ago about developing an internal policy on tender timeframes as well. So we'll hear from more clients in the coming weeks, but we're keen to engage further with members on this topic. So if you've got any suggestions, please get in touch. That brings us close to the end of today's Pulse update, but we did want to take a couple more minutes to provide a quick snapshot of a few advocacy activities happening at a state and territory level. So first of all, I'll pass over to Nicola on an upcoming Infrastructure New South Wales Industry Forum. Over to you, Nicola.
Thanks very much, James. And it's great to hear that positive response from some of those clients there to the mental health initiative. And it really ties in with our model client policy. So thank you to those clients that have responded, and we hope that many will do the same. I'm going to give you a quick update on a new initiative that's come up through Infrastructure New South Wales. They've put together a industry infrastructure forum, and it comes off the back of consultations that are done with us in the past, Consult Australia and other industry groups. And they're pulling us all together, bringing us all together to start looking at real solutions around how we can improve procurement in the state. So the purpose of the forum is to seek industry views across the infrastructure sector in New South Wales, covering topics such as New South Wales Government's 10-point commitment to the construction sector emergency management responses, implementation of the government's infrastructure program and infrastructure planning. So membership of the forum will comprise senior reps from the New South Wales Government and key industry peak bodies across the construction sector, including ourselves, of course. They're going to be holding these meetings, I think, on a quarterly basis, but we'll also be holding targeted workshops and roundtables to resolve emerging issues. So it's great to be involved in this initiative. We are seeing quite a lot of interesting issues arise across the country around procurement, and there's a very specific one that's come up in Victoria on the Construction Supplier Register, or CSR as we call it. So James, I'm going to hand back to you to just brief us on what that means for members.
Yeah, thanks, Nicola. So this one's been flagged by a number of members on the pre-qualification requirements for the Victorian Construction Supplier Register. This particularly impacts businesses with a board in place, so those structured as body corporates. What's being required is all board members, all relevant engineering disciplines that a business provides services in needs to be represented by all board members. So they need qualifications in these disciplines. So we believe this requirement is effectively an unintended consequence of the local and how it was drafted, because it is a recent change despite no legislative change, and we understand there's some legal advice driving it. So we're advocating for this to be changed sooner rather than later, because it is a significant impact on many of our multidisciplinary firms, and we believe it doesn't link to any public benefit whatsoever. So we're starting to get some good engagement with the Victorian Treasury on the issue, and to support this engagement, we're currently surveying Victorian members on the impacts, so we can talk about these a little bit further with the Treasury and really emphasise how big an impact this is causing for a number of our members. So we'll keep you all up to date with this work and how we progress, and we're hoping that we can make a big difference in this space for our members. Christy, I'll pass over to you to wrap up.
Thanks, James, and thanks, Nicola, for joining us on what is the final policy webinar for the year. And thanks to members for actually telling James and I that you enjoy them. So it looks like James will be back next year with more policy video updates. And this is a reminder, if you're not a member, you should be a member. and you can go to our website to find out more. But what it really gets you is direct line to James and I to talk about any of these sorts of issues, or any of the issues that we usually talk about in these sort of policy updates. Your issues are our issues, so please do become a member. Thanks again, and bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.